It is a Monday morning. It's great to be here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. And our buddy Ken Coleman, it's always great to have him on the show as well, as you hear him quite frequently on the Ramsey Show, 3 to 5 here on KCMO Talk Radio. He's got a new book out we got to tell you about as well. But first off, Ken, on a Monday morning, I've got to ask you about the jobs report from Friday. They keep exceeding expectations, but the devil is always in the details, it seems, with these things.
Yeah, it's so true. Good to be with you. Well, here's what we know on the details. There's three sectors that continue to pop up over the last couple job reports that are adding jobs. Healthcare, no surprise there, as we have an aging population. And a sicker population in general, and then leisure and hospitality. That's a good sign. That speaks to consumer confidence, people traveling again, and we continue to see a thawing from the pandemic, tightening, if you will, and then government jobs, which concerns me. And, you keep looking at this jobs report, and I was on Fox News, and I got Neil Cavuto all grumpy. Of course, he always is a little grumpy.
I was going to say he's always grumpy, but
yeah, but he didn't like that I said that I wasn't as blown away by the jobs report. It's the last one, where again we saw that the largest number of jobs was coming from the government sector, and you and I agree on big government. It's not a good idea, and adding government jobs is in my mind is padding the stats, Pete. But that's where we're at as far as adding jobs. I think it's good overall because we've seen that the Fed is holding rates where they are. And by the way, these rates are really good historically. And I think these people that think we're going to keep edging back down into the 3s and 2s, I just don't see that happening anytime soon. And I'm not sure it needs to happen. So I think the Fed's getting their cake and eating it too right now.
Well, that leads into my next question for you, Ken Coleman. I mean, as you've coined him on this show, our feckless Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, the market didn't like the jobs report because they perceive it as the Fed not cutting rates anytime soon. What do you think the Fed should do? And then I guess the next part would be, what will they do?
Yeah, well, I called him the feckless Fed chair because I think he was in part, a huge part. He and the Fed were responsible for the inflation, and I still hold them to that. And I still think he's feckless. I just think he's getting lucky right now. I think a lot of people thought that we were going to have a bumpy landing and enter into some stagflation. We're not there, but I will tell you, we're only a couple of crazy things happening from stagflation. Quick reminder. To everybody who didn't pay attention in the sixth grade or didn't get taught properly, stagflation is when you have inflationary forces and inflation is moving up, and then you see the economy moving down as it relates to GDP and jobs and everything else. And so right now, as I said, they're getting their cake and eating it too. So he's been really, really lucky. What do I think they should do? I do think they should sit still.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be tinkering right now. Again, interest rates historically, if you look at the historical context, rates are still really, really low. And quite frankly, for savers like me, I really like that return I'm getting on my money market account. And I think that I would sit tight. I would not tinker with it to mess with the election. And I think if they start lowering rates again, I think it could put us in a really dangerous situation where inflation gets out of control again.
Yeah, he's Ken Coleman, host of The Ken Coleman Show. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, you hear him on The Ramsey Show as well, weekdays 3 to 5 on KCMO Talk Radio. And he's got a new book coming out that we'll talk about here, Find the Work You're Wired to Do. So when you look at this from the worker perspective, Ken, and kind of where your lane is, how people should be perceiving, maybe their next job if they're looking. Is now the time to look? Do they have the leverage they had a couple of years ago? Has that kind of evened out a little bit? What should the mindset be of the worker right now?
Well, if you're not happy, my theory on that is that you should be looking. And right now, there is tremendous opportunity. Again, I think the unemployment rate was at 3.8%, if I remember, so it's still ridiculously low. So you have opportunity. I don't think you have the same amount of leverage. In fact, I know you don't. And what I mean by the leverage in your question is the Great Resignation is long over. You're seeing wages stay pretty much the same. They're not rising at crazy rates. I think they're at a healthy rate right now. So the days of you just job hopping and getting a 15 to 20% bump, that's not happening as much because companies are tightening their belt. Bottom line is, a lot of companies, what we're seeing in the labor market from a wage standpoint, Pete, is a lot of companies are kind of going, well, let's tighten the belt in case we do hit some bumpy times. And let's make sure that we're really careful about what we're doing from a hiring standpoint. So I just think a lot of companies, small businesses in general, they're all kind of a wait and see. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen? And with the election year coming, I just think the world and certainly the U.S., the economy, and I think the behaviors we're seeing, Pete, right now, everybody's kind of going, what's going to happen? It's just a weird time right now.
It is. It is a weird time. Now, Ken, your book, Find the Work You're Wired to Do, it's coming out May 7th. It is available for pre-sale. You know, you and I are lucky to be in positions where we love what we do when we wake up every day. We're grateful to do it. A lot of people are not in that position. They're driving to work right now here in Kansas City. What will this book do for them as they try to figure out what they're passionate about so when they get up on a Monday, they're not dreading work, they're excited for it?
Yeah, this is a really short book that goes with the Get Clear Career Assessment. The assessment is the signature tool. You and I have talked about it. In about 15 to 18 minutes, you're going to get awareness that you never got in your home, you never got in the classroom. Awareness in 3 key areas, and that's the title of the small book, Wired. Find the work you're wired to do. There's 3 wires. It's what you're good at, what you enjoy, and then results that motivate you. You figure out those 3 things and see where in the world of work that you can do that. Man, let me tell you something. You're going to make more money than you ever dreamed of, and you're going to experience more meaning. It's that simple. And so this book and assessment come together. You can read the book in about 45 minutes, and it picks you up at the moment you get your assessment results. So it comes with a code, and if you pre-order it right now, Pete, at kencoleman.com, they actually get the audiobook and the ebook with codes free. So you can get essentially 3 books, 3 codes. And at graduation time, this is the ultimate graduation tool. We have now in America, Pete, over 50% of college grads coming out do not even work in their field of study. And so we've got a generation of young adults who are hitting the workforce going, okay, I just spent 4 or 5 years studying this, but I can't even get a job in it, or it doesn't make as much. What do I do now? And so this book and assessment, it's a combo. It's going to answer the 4 big questions. Who am I? What do I want to do? Where can I do it? How do I get there? And the book and the assessment answer all 4 of those massive questions, and that's what we've delivered.
I see it there, kencoleman.com. Click on the Shop Products tab, and you'll see exactly what Ken is talking about. Hey, great stuff today, Ken Coleman. And can I just confirm, Dave Ramsey is not doing this whole, let the employees go outside and stare at the eclipse for 20 minutes in the middle of the workday, right? That's not happening at Ramsey Solutions.
You know, it's a great question, and I suspect that there will be a lot of Ramsey people that will go out there with their funky glasses and look at it because we work hard and we trust our folks. I'll tell you one person who's not going to do it, this guy. I think it's the biggest nothing burger. I couldn't care less.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken Coleman. My goodness, let's get this country back to working and, doing what they're supposed to be doing at 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, not staring at the sun, for crying out loud. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just not interesting to me. I don't know why, but, I never paid attention in science.
No, that's because you're a deep thinker and you're an interesting individual and you've got, purpose every day. You're not waiting to look at the sun once every 7 years. So,
give me a break. The only thing I like to cheat on during the day is Masters, the early round Masters. I'm known to have an extra window open on the computer.
That makes 2 of us. That makes 2 of us. And I won't tell Dave about that next time I talk to him.
No, please don't.
You're the man.
Anybody tell him.
You are the man. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right, buddy. Ken Coleman on KCMO Talk Radio.